Kevin, here we go. Let me do it for you, bro. This is friendship. Oh, it actually feels wrong. You do it. It's disgusting.
It feels wrong watching it. Like, what did I just witness?
So lukewarm, bro.
All right, fine. No, I'll do it. Bring your elbow. I'll bring your elbow.
Is this what
Lisa? This is
like?
Is this self-development?
This is ultimate. Yeah, this is the test.
This is friendship. You know what? This is friendship. I love it. This is what it means to be a brother in Christ, man. It's probably Proverbs or something, you know, like moisturize your bros.
There's some areas of brotherhood that I don't think need to be seen.
Yeah, do you want to do my elbows now, or is that weird?
Yours are good.
Yeah, mine. I've got good skin, bro.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I do. I moisturize every morning and night before
Beautiful. That's very nice.
Yeah.
Moisturizing is key.
You want some?
No, I'm good already.
Oh, good?
I already
Okay.
creamed up.
You want more? Okay, go for it, man. It's good. Is that aloe vera? Yeah, it's the aloe vera one. It smells nice. Yeah.
How's everyone doing?
That was so awkward. But we're doing good.
That's awkward.
Yeah.
Poya rubbing the ash off your elbow is not awkward, but me saying how's everyone
we
doing
can do
is
that.
Bro,
we can do that?
My man. I'll do it for you too, Josh. Don't be afraid.
No. I'm a pick saying what I just
Classic
said.
avoidant attachment, right?
That's no.
No, you know, but I haven't figured out what Josh is yet. Because Josh isn't exactly
I've been
the
told I'm
anxious type.
secured.
But I think
I don't know. I
I've been
reckon
told I'm secured.
he won't let us moisturize him. I think that's very avoidant behavior.
No, I've seen moments for him. I've seen moments of avoidant, but
Yeah,
I would say
sure.
mainly secure.
Okay. But would a secure person be averse to their bros, you know, applying some kind of lotion
I can
to
have
a part of it?
I don't need to want to do everything. Like you can
true.
There can be
Okay.
some things that just aren't in your lane.
You know what? I think that's true, and I think that's like
think that's
boundaries
avoidance.
as well.
In
You
some
know,
cultures,
and
they kiss on the cheek to say hello. Like, do you need to go do that to
yeah,
like prove that?
I'll do that for you.
Okay, I guess you're like, do you enjoy?
I don't
that?
do it to my Anglo friends because they feel weird about it, but
I wasn't raised on getting kissed on the cheek.
Really?
To, like greet each
Africans don't do that.
other. Not African Australians.
No, but do like you're Sierra Leonean, like
Close enough. Sierra Leone.
and half Ghanaian.
Ghanaian.
Do you guys like do that at all? Like,
we can show affection in some ways in like greeting and stuff, but like the whole kiss on the cheek each time, I don't think that's like a very common thing. Though.
fair enough, man.
In French culture, they do both cheeks.
Yeah, I know.
So that
some
always
places
catches
they do.
me.
I think in like Hispanic communities they do that as well, but
Persians, we do it all the time.
yeah,
Salam, awale shoma khubi. Mwah, mwah.
just tongue them down, won't you?
Tongue him down, baby. That's...
I was about to go, ugh. No, I'm fine.
Brother,
Should we introduce ourselves then?
Yeah.
Since you guys don't want to say how you're doing.
I'll say how I'm doing.
How's your Father's Day? How's things going on?
Good.
Man's a father.
Thank you.
This is your third Father's Day?
This is my fourth Father's Day.
Because Nero was born after
Neo's
Father's
four.
Day.
Yes, 4.
No, but he was born.
Oh no. So this is my 3.5 Father's Day. So it was good. We had fun. We went to a Indian restaurant. We had the best food of like.
Was the one you took me to?
No, bro. Actually, even better than that, I would have to
wow.
say. And I would love to go there tonight. That would be
Because
great.
that naan went off. In a good way off.
Yeah,
The one you
we
took me
might go
to.
there tonight. Actually,
It'll be open?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, we'd have to get out of here earlier, but it was really good. Had a good day.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. You? What'd you do?
I took my father out to dinner.
Yep.
We hit up Pancakes on the Rocks. It was his first time
Oh,
there.
nice.
First off, Pancakes on the Rocks, they're doing some very Frankensteinish meals over there. Because
Frankensteinish.
like Tim Dillon said at first, like a Franken meal, like a meal that like shouldn't even exist because there's so much like sugar and so much things mixed together that it shouldn't be real.
Yeah.
Like I ordered the chocolate peanut butter pancakes, bro. It was actually flooded, like chocolate and peanut. It was having chocolate and peanut butter with pancakes.
Bro.
You get what I'm saying?
How much of it did you eat? Like, give me a good
I
percentage.
had half of it. And then
Half of it, bros.
I had half of it, and then shamefully I went home at like 12 a.m. at night. I was like, "Where's the rest of it?"
When you get that sugar hit, you need more, right?
You just got to finish the job.
You just gotta finish the
I gotta
job.
close the loop.
Yeah.
The loop stay open. The loop has to close.
Loop has a close.
Yeah,
Was there
yeah,
Nutella
yeah.
on it as well?
Bro, I wish it was Nutella. Just whatever. Like, thank God, like, there was enough ice cream on it as well to
Yeah.
like kind of balance it out.
Yeah.
But like, it was messy, bro.
That
was
sounds
like-
like
it
a
was like- it
big
was war, bro. It was-
3,000 calorie meal, bro.
Yeah, no, I did feel a bit like self-conscious after. Like, oh man, did I just ruin like my whole weeks of?
I think that
caloric.
sounds like a good month though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to hit the treadmill extra hard.
I mean, you're looking good though. You're not like.
Yeah, I think I'm probably in like the best shape
Yeah.
I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Like from a year ago, where I was actually in hospital, because I had a burst appendix. Came out after a month of being in hospital, and I was like 70 Ks, like sickly looking. To now I'm like back to 90 Ks, like probably in the best shape of my life. It's a lot can happen in a year, is what I'll say. You know, yeah.
Have you told Poya the story about what happened?
Maybe.
Is this a podcast? Is this a story for off the podcast or?
It could be on the podcast. It's not something that's like private, but like we said before, we didn't want to go down too many rabbit holes, right? Like we want to stay on script.
Yeah,
so.
we're 5 minutes in. I reckon we'll do it maybe for another episode. We can talk about.
Yeah, no, we don't need to go into it. Now.
Yeah. No, my Father's Day was good. Went to my parents' house. Like I have a fourth cousin. It's my great grandma, her grandma were cousins, so that's our relation. But she brought her husband and her two kids came. My sister and her husband and son came. It was really good. We
Yeah.
had some Persian barbecue,
Kisses on the cheek.
kisses on the cheek. Yeah, it was awesome.
What do you have in Persian barbecue?
Cello kebab.
Right.
It's the best. I'll take you. We'll go Persian restaurant.
So one
sometime.
type of kebab?
You have like cello kebab, which is like could be there. It's like
there?
you wrap meat around this like big skewer,
Yeah.
big like metal sword over charcoal.
Yeah.
Then you have like
Rice.
with saffron in it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and then hardened rice like at the bottom, which is like overcooked. It's called tadik.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah, I'll take you to this Persian
You're
restaurant.
slowly showing me different sides of your personality, man. A little bit more culture to you. That's good.
Yeah, man, I love my culture. I've been trying to learn Farsi recently, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But
That'll be lit.
speaking of culture, it is lit. I just want to validate your comment before I went into the intro.
appreciate that. Thank
Yeah,
you, yes.
we're all about
It's
validation.
fire. Or fire. I think is fire like the new
Yeah,
FYE.
it feels kind of like.
That's fire.
But you know what it feels like to me, and I don't know if you guys think this. I feel like it's like something white people would say when they're trying to act like they're black.
Who made up that saying though?
I have no idea. I hear a lot of like YouTubers say it. Like it's fire, man. It's fire. Yeah.
But like spell FYE now, not FII.
FY what?
That's what I was asking. Like, is fi?
Oh, I haven't
FYE?
heard that one.
Like, rather
Okay.
than saying fire, I saw it was just fi. Oh, that's fi. FYE.
I've never. Okay, dang. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay. I was mistaken
Yeah.
and probably came off really racist.
Yeah, blame the white folks. Jeez.
Yeah, I love white people. We established this last week.
That's what you should. That's how you should introduce everybody.
Every guy's like, hey guys, welcome to BOB, where we love white people and self-development and Jesus. You got to my left,
Kevin Paulraj.
to my right.
Joshua, Coach Badu.
What's your coach, buddy? I like
Coach
that.
Bud.
And
Hey.
last,
Some-
wait, what?
Nothing.
Sorry, I interrupted you. I felt you.
No. Go ahead. Let's just do that again. Can we clip that and redo our intros? I feel like we just.
That's
we
fine.
ruined
Just, let's roll with it. It's funny.
What's your name then?
What's my name? Poya. Heidari Shahi.
Even though I really do want to clip it again, we'll roll the punches. Should we go on to our first topic though?
We should. Would you like to?
Archetypes.
Archetypes. Ooh.
So I think this is one that you. Who wrote this archetypes one, by the way? It wasn't me. It was already there.
Poya.
It might have been me then.
If you brought it in, you
I
have to
brought
introduce
it. Okay, I totally forgot that I read. I just thought I'm like, that's a cool topic.
It is a cool topic for sure.
What? Yeah. Archetypes. Well,
Start with why it's important to you.
why it's important to me. Okay,
Format.
I think that I'm just gonna like freeball or whatever
Yeah, go
riff.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reason stories resonate so well with all of us, and I think the reason that Jesus spoke in parables, which are stories, is because within every story we can see ourselves or identify with someone. And I think within every story you have archetypes. You have heroes and villains. You have victims and teachers. You have warriors and kings. You have queens and princesses. And you have talking trees.
Is that actually a
No, I just wanted to say that.
okay, right.
But in a lot of ways,
so much seriousness. Yeah.
in a lot of ways, I like to think that Ents are an archetype. Yeah. But within every story, you have archetypes. And archetypes change. Different people have different understandings. Some people, it's the leader, or even within our podcast, right? Visionary.
Strategist.
Dynamo.
That's archetypes, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So the reason I think archetypes are important is that they give us almost a sort of outline of who we are and what we can do with our lives, right? So if you're someone who is good at bringing a group of people together and you're able to resolve conflict and kind of make decisions when the group doesn't know what to do, that's a leader. And then you can look at archetypes of leaders in fiction and then think, what type of leader do I want to be? Who's a good leader? Like Aragon, great example of a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Or you want to look at what is wisdom. If you're the guy who's always giving advice, if you're a sage and you're very calm, non-reactive, and you're very at peace, and you're giving wisdom to the youth, you can find archetypes for that, right? So you have like Yoda from Star Wars. I'm not super, like, I'm only like a bit into Avatar. I'm like halfway through season 1, but I imagine Uncle Iroh is that type of character. Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars again.
These are all leaders.
Oh no, these are like the teachers, sages.
Yeah,
That's
like
another
sages,
type of
teachers.
archetype, right? Or then you have like the rogue or the scoundrel, Han Solo. You know, the guy who's a bit edgy, a bit like doesn't play by the rules, right? Kind of comes in, disrupts, but in the end makes the right choice. Han Solo. A few other examples. I guess that guy from Tangled. That everyone like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Look, I remember when I first started learning about archetypes, it was from watching one of Jordan Peterson's university lectures. Like, he put up all his clips on YouTube and just like go and like binge a whole bunch of stuff. And that's when I first started like learning about archetypes and stuff and how much is actually laid into like our movies. Like if you look at any like Disney movie or just any movie in general, right? Whether it's freaking Marvel or like you're gonna see certain patterns of characters, and that same character, that same pattern kind of appears over and over and over again.
Yep.
And like you said, I think like we all kind of gravitate towards certain archetypes. It's funny for me, like the ones that I would probably look at and feel like, oh, okay, that's the person I want to like try to be like or resemble would be like, yeah, those leaders or the sage. Those more wise versions versus I won't see myself as like the scoundrel like that. I've never really identified as like that kind of archetype or anything, but I think we all kind of have different archetypes that we kind of resonate with. Like, is there a version of an archetype that you kind of resonate with, or Kev, you look at your phone the whole time, what's going on?
First of all, what I want to say is I want to just like make it clear for the people who are listening. Carl Jung's work, who is a psychologist from a long time ago, he kind of came up with this model. And if you guys have ever heard of Myers-Briggs, it's all based on archetypes, right? But there's 4 main ones that he brings up, and I want to read them out, and then we can each of us can kind of discuss it. Number 1 is the magician, represents leadership, control, and wisdom. This archetype is associated with qualities like confidence, strategic thinking, and decision making, right? Then we've got the warrior, and this represents courage, strength, and determination. This archetype is often associated with qualities like resilience, discipline, and a strong sense of justice, right? And there's the lover, which is the 3rd one. Represents passion, creativity, and connection. This archetype is often associated with qualities like empathy, intimacy, and appreciation for beauty. More feminine, right? And the last one is sage. And there's probably more, but these are the 4 main ones, which represents wisdom, insight, and guidance. This archetype is often associated with qualities like intelligence, analytical thinking, and a desire to actually share knowledge, right? And where I actually found this, when this came into application for me, was when I was actually training for speaking. And my coach used to say to me while he was watching me speak, he'll say, okay, you really expressed the king, but I want you to express the warrior now. So when I was talking, I would involve in my speech and I would say, this is what we've got to do. And that's the warrior coming out. And he will say, now I want you to express a little bit more of a feminine approach, which is a little bit more of the lover. And I'll say, and guys, and that's where I held space. So I used it from a communication standpoint, because often what happens is speakers will usually only stick to one. Like if you're from Hillsong, you know Robert Ferguson, he's usually sticking to the sage.
Yeah.
Right? He's not sticking to the warrior. He's not sticking to the other person. And why that's important to understand is because if you play the different archetypes in a communication model, you can connect with people really, really well. Does that make sense?
Is this
So,
also...
yeah, go on.
I was going to say also, like, when we'll discuss, like, parts...
Yep, these is also
module,
parts. Yep.
You also feel like, yeah, like, those archetypes as well. It's also, like, we all have a bit of the sage, the warrior, the king,
Yes.
the whatever within us. And, like, you're deciding which one you want to kind of channel in that moment.
Yes, and a lot of people are very comfortable with certain parts, which means there's usually parts they're afraid of, and because of that, they run into trouble. So, for example, if I was a people pleaser, I would struggle with the archetype of a warrior. I have the archetype of a warrior within me, one who is not agreeable, stands up, is assertive, argues, confronts. But if I'm a people pleaser and someone who struggles to set boundaries, I will struggle to own my warrior part within me. And I will judge other people and go, oh man, he's too much of a douchebag, he's too much of this.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing it within myself, and I need to be able to own that for me to step up to the next level of personal development for me. And that's some of the applications, communication, interpersonal relationships. But yeah, go on. Poya.
Definitely,
Would you then say that we are actually all the different archetypes, or to be the most integrated version, for someone to be the most integrated version of themselves, it's actually reconciling all the archetypes into one unit and then knowing when to kind of bring that out? Is that kind of...
So
that's kind of what I'm getting from what you're saying.
Okay, so from my understanding, this is what I've learned, and I actually don't know this model really, really well. I've just known bits and pieces. My understanding of what my coach taught me is the king is represented of, in IFS, what we would call is the self, which from a self perspective, from an IFS perspective, is where all the parts are integrated into.
What's IFS for those who may not be?
Internal family systems therapy.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Internal family systems therapy, or otherwise known as parts work. Or otherwise, it's very similar to shadow work. It's very similar to schema work as well that you've talked about. You were telling me about the other day. And in IFS, in internal family systems, the whole idea is that we are not one mind. Often when we talk, we say, my mind did this. But the reality is, that's not how our mind is. Our mind is in parts. One part of me wants the salad, but another part of me wants to eat the donut. Right? One part of me wants to get work done, but one part of me wants to keep procrastinating. So the reality is that our mind is actually almost like multiple personalities. Like that's how we actually operate. Yeah. So internal family systems operates in that way.
And which one?
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
And I was going to say that there is different types in the internal family systems dynamic. There is like an inner child, right, which we all kind of have heard of. There is the manager or protector, which is could be an aggressive type, could be a self-doubt. It doubts us to protect us from failure. It could be a people pleaser that doubts us or makes us people please people because we're too afraid of rejection. So we have different types: inner child, manager, protector, and a firefighter. Firefighter is the type that when you feel too much overwhelming emotion, then you immediately want to go to a vice like porn, sex, drugs, alcohol, yelling, screaming, gossiping. So it's when you feel too much of the inner child's pain, you want to numb it with any of the things. You want to douse the flame with any vice. So those are the different type of parts.
I love how you broke it down, like went deep with it. Because I'm actually very curious about the question Poya brought up, which was, is it ideal to kind of reconcile all those parts and then choose which one you want to be? Or is it actually good to say, yeah, there's all those parts in me, but say I'm mostly like a warrior, let me lean into that because that's like my strength per se. And the reason I bring it up is because Tony Robbins was telling a story previously about how he was working with Conor McGregor during his comeback years in the UFC, and they're basically like, I guess, doing avatar work. Sorry, archetype.
Similar, same thing.
Archetype work with, where it's like, you're Conor McGregor, you're freaking the double champion, you're this, you're that. You're always walking around in warrior mode, and Tony was trying to get him to learn how to channel other parts of himself within a fight.
Yeah.
Because it's the same way you talked about using it in a romantic setting, interpersonal relationships, or in speaking, he was like, you can apply those same parts when it comes to you being in a fight. So he's saying like you're always in warrior mode when you're fighting.
So a lot of noise in your head. It's like you can't calm down. So like being able to integrate like the feminine would make you relax a little bit more, think clearly. But yeah, go on.
So here's what's interesting, right? So Conor Poya is super like good at just channeling the warrior. And he tried to, I guess, apply this new style of consolidating it more. And in his next fight, he lost still, apparently, right? But if you saw the lead up to that fight in his interviews and the press conferences, he was much more calm. He wasn't his usual like rambunctious self and yelling. And he was much more respectful. Hey, I'm glad to be here, kind of thing. And he said after he lost, Tony was commenting, after he lost that fight, he basically reverted back to just being the warrior and went back to being his old, like, cocky self. So I know it was a bit of a long-winded thing,
I think this is going to bring a very good question.
What is it better to, like, lean into your most natural part, or is it better to actually try to be all of it?
Okay, I have an answer to this. Do you want to go? Go for it.
Sure. I don't. You know what? Actually, no. An idea just popped in my head. I would say it's better. It's better to know who to be at what moment.
Great.
If you're in an MMA fight, why do you need to be a lover? You're trying to cave someone's head in. Be the warrior, bro. Get angry. Be like, oh, come at me, bro. I'll smash you. Like, oh, Rick, what is? Oh no, that's the Dagestani. I'll smash you, boy. Like, destroy them. Why do you need to be the lover? Why do you be like, oh, I don't get. Yeah. Like, when you're with your girl, you're not going to be the warrior.
Unless you're in bed,
Well, we're not married, so we can't comment on that. But Kevin.
I hear what you're saying, but Kevin brought up a point before, which is there's more than 4 archetypes. To leave it to just king, warrior, sage thing is actually a very oversimplification of how many there are.
There's more.
So we got to understand, we're talking about different modalities. So Carl Jung's modality is like, in Carl Jung's there's 16, right? But in parts work there's thousands and thousands. You could have a part that like observes glass. You can have a part that is angry. You can have a part that is people pleasing. So,
but those parts fit within categories, right? So some parts will be managers. And
that's true.
Right.
Too.
So it's like there's individual parts, but they all fit into 4 archetypes. That's kind of what you're saying, Josh, right?
They fit.
I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Okay.
They do. In the IFS model.
And in Carl Jung's model, you said there was 16, but you said there was and Myers-Briggs.
Yeah. And
right. Okay. Sure.
So the way it works is there's like 4, because remember there's like extrovert, introvert.
Yes.
There's 4 different slots of combinations, and then underneath that there's 16 different combinations. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. But I really like what you were saying, Poya, because I think that very much makes sense. But I feel like Josh was about to finish.
So I'm playing the counter position to, if you're in a fight, is there space for the lover to actually be an effective thing to pull out? Like like conventional wisdom would say, you're in a fight, be the warrior. But someone like Muhammad Ali, and I don't know if this point's gonna land, but see what happens. Someone like Muhammad Ali, the whole dance like a butterfly, sting like a bee. He's kind of dancing around the ring. It's like, it's much more. It's not just pounce.
Yep.
He's channeling a different archetype.
It's
essentially.
not. It's relax. I got this. It's like that.
And then when he's ready to go back into warrior mode, then he goes back for round 2. So
love it.
The idea of saying there's no room for warrior, maybe you're right. I'm just saying, could a warrior work could a lover work in a fight? Is there a my mind's going weird places.
No.
You're making sense. You're making sense.
No, I was just thinking I think in sometimes in football, like they talk about like they'll tackle someone and like they'll use their fingers to like kind of try to make love to someone, like, bro, like
that's not
sometimes
consensual.
It's messed up. Yeah. I'm sorry for going.
That's all right. We'll put a trigger warning.
Yeah. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Like, do you think, like, say you were in a fight?
Okay. Yes.
Would a lover actually work? Is that an effective?
I think you answered the own question. Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're trying to simplify things that are there's just so many different variables, and there's so many different variables on these things. Yes, I think that you could operate in that, but there's so many different variables. You could be fighting someone with a different style. You could be fighting things where you particularly operate very, very well in one style. Like Mike Tyson is just pure warrior. He doesn't do. You can see. I can guarantee you, if you go measure his muscles, all right, while he's fighting, I don't think any of his muscles are actually relaxed. Not even one like, not even one finger muscle is probably relaxed. Whereas Muhammad Ali is a little bit more flowing. So I do feel like in a way you can kind of adapt the concept to different fighting styles. Now, to answer your original question in regards to, which one should you be or should you tap into one? I really like Poya's answer that you got to be able to play into a particular archetype in a particular scenario, because when you're a fight, you enter warrior, right? And then when you're in a relationship, it's a different scenario. And a great example of this is look at David Goggins. People have always David Goggins is typical warrior archetype. He's like classic warrior archetype.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now, usually warrior archetypes are coming from hurt, anger, frustration. Like, oh, I'm going to get you, revenge. Like, I'll prove you. It all comes from hurt. Because I was hurt as a little boy, and now I need to protect myself with anger and looking strong. Right? So, first of all, the warrior archetype, it's good, and you want to use it to be able to get specific results. It all comes down to the result. But you can see that he's probably going to struggle in relationships because he struggles to be vulnerable. And I think someone was telling me the other day that he's kind of messed up in his relationships, right? Because he struggles to be able to switch that off. So I think I really like to go back to Poya's answer, which is it just depends on being able to apply the different archetypes in different roles.
That's interesting. It almost makes me think you need to have all of them at your disposal when you need them.
Sorry, go on.
If you can't channel the other archetypes, then you're vulnerable in those areas for when you may need it.
Bingo. Go, Poya.
Yeah, and I have a question, because what do you think was the difference for Conor McGregor versus Muhammad Ali? Because why did it work for Ali but not for McGregor? And I think that's important as well. There's something to that.
I don't know if comparing McGregor's situation to Muhammad Ali is a fair comparison, because I won't Muhammad Ali still lost. He wasn't undefeated. Channeling a certain archetype doesn't guarantee success.
Yeah.
Sure.
It just means that might be the most effective strategy to reach your goal.
Yep.
So if your question's about why did Conor revert back to his old self,
probably what he's comfortable
then
with.
that's one question. Or you're asking why did Conor lose? What's
the question behind the question? Yeah. I guess what you're really trying to ask is, how do we know when to channel what? Because that's different for different people. It seems like for Conor McGregor in that situation, he should have just stayed in warrior. While for Muhammad Ali, he's able to, and maybe there's a lot of variables, but how do we know when to be what? How do we get the wisdom and discernment to know when to bring out which archetype? How do I know if I'm in a fight that I should just stay in warrior mode and not at all engage the lover?
I have a thought, but I think Kevin's cooking something up.
Yeah. Is there something that you tell me?
I don't know.
Because I have an idea, but I'm not sure how sold I am on it.
Right.
Go, Poya. What's your answer?
Yeah. I want to hear your...
Go.
No? Okay. I'm wondering if it's something to do with authenticity and it's your natural... You talk a lot about self, right? So if the king is the self, the king directs everything.
Absolutely.
So then if you're in a situation, right, and you're coming from self, to use the IFS model, you then know what parts to integrate, right?
Yes.
If I'm in a fight and I'm coming from self, I'm like, all right, I know that I can
go for it. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Or if I'm trying to rizz up a very nice Christian lady at the event,
you channel Casanova.
I was going to say you channeled the magician, but just get
Poya.
full analytical and then you channel Poya. Oh, thank you. No, yeah, you channel the lover. You channel Poya. Heidari, Shahi. But you're not in your head and you're fully present, and then I guess you use your natural intuition. My other question is, does everyone have that? I don't know. IFS seems to suggest they do, but yeah, I think it's just letting the king direct all the other pieces and say, all right, you come in here, let's go. Warrior, all right, come in, it's your turn, let's go. Lover, okay. All right, maybe a bit of magician.
My issue with that is it doesn't sound too accessible or practical to someone who if I'm hearing you for the first time and you're saying to me, your king will know. What does that mean?
Yeah.
not to say that you're wrong, but the challenge to me is like, does that feel accessible enough to the layman, right?
It's not. It's not. Yeah.
When I look at it, I look at like what's best practice. What if other people have been in that same situation? What has been most successful for them? Maybe they know something I don't about what I should be channeling. So, for example, if I'm a parent, I know I'm not, but if I'm a parent and I'm trying to be ultra disciplinarian, right, and that's not working, but I know a bunch of parents who are great at what they do. They have raised great kids. They have respect. They have love. They have discipline. I go and speak to them, and he says, "Hey, you do need to have some disciplining in your household, but also you need to be able to just forgive and be patient and to sometimes let them vent, you know?" And if I understand like that's actually a successful pathway, then I'm saying to myself, okay, that is my blueprint for knowing when to channel what. Like learning what has been successful in the past and then trying to follow that blueprint for what I should be channeling when. But then that means, for me, that then means finding the right mentors, finding the right success stories who have done what I'm trying to do, and I can kind of like study and see what do they channel and how have they been able to become successful in that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
I
100%.
think that makes a lot of sense.
I think
yeah,
it's just. I think it's very practical. I think what you said was very, very practical. I'm honestly not completely sold on the practicality of the topic of archetypes, although I do think it can be very practical. But I haven't kind of really reflected and researched and figured out how it can be practical. Because for me, it's like if I operate in the one who's done it and just embody what they do, it's like that's a simple framework to be able to achieve what
and
you
then
want to
also
achieve.
everyone's achieved success in different ways as well. Someone went down the warrior route, someone went down the sage route.
For sure.
Like, also, why should I? That will also lead you to a bit of a analysis paralysis.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's. That's why I think sometimes archetypes, it can be valuable. I haven't figured out how exactly it could be very practical.
I think I know where it's valuable.
Okay, go on.
I think this is where I want to go with it.
Yeah.
But did you have more to say on?
I was going to say, so
Yeah.
for example, there's like this, there's a TV show, there's a Korean TV show. It's called Physical 100. I don't know if you guys have heard
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
I've seen it.
Right,
I haven't watched
100 Korean people, and it's like
All
they're
shredded.
competing, all shredded,
all shredded.
all really
tense.
strong.
Jeez.
And
Koreans
you'll
doing
find that
cool
they have
things.
all different archetypes. One guy's like, "Ugh," like, you know, trying to accomplish something. And you'll see like a girl who's just very like, hey, like I'm going to accomplish this, and she somehow
bro, I
they
love
somehow
this.
get through.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect example of like people can accomplish goals with different archetypes. So for me, I'm like, why is it like it's not that right now? I haven't found it that relevant in regards to why archetypes would be valuable, because I feel like sometimes it can be a little bit more confusing. However, in like, let's just say if I have like a, I don't know, you think of someone, okay, perfect example is that intervention that Tony Robbins does with that guy in his documentary. So I don't know if you've watched this documentary.
The
of
red
like-
shoes guy?
No, not that guy. So there's a guy where it's a couple, and the woman is like the woman is very like fiery and just like, I want a man who makes me feel like this, and she's talking in all these like very hippie hyper spiritual universe kind of terms, and this guy's very like grounded and like quiet and like
Very
weak and
pragmatic,
stuff,
right.
pragmatic, weak, you know,
Concrete.
quiet, like, you know, subservient, and the whole intervention is just him going, I want you to roar. And he gets him to physically roar. And what he's doing there is just embodying the warrior archetype. An archetype that he needs to embody to be able to really, you could say, optimize the chemistry between him and his wife. Right? I don't know if you guys kind of understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in that type of scenario, I see how it could be really valuable. So in relationships, I can find it can be very, very valuable.
Here's where I do, because I don't use the same wording as like king, mage, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Like I have my own wording I use for when I'm trying to channel different archetypes.
Yeah.
How it helps me is I know if I'm being too soft and I feel like I'm kind of being too much on one side, I tell myself, channel this other version of you. And now that'll get me to quickly realize the traits and characteristics I need to start applying in that moment to now kind of balance myself out. So I think if you understand what each archetype means, and you have your own labels for them, and you understand what it means, when you say it to yourself, you know what that embodies, and you can quickly begin to change your behavior when needed, if that makes sense. If you've never heard, if you have no point of reference and you hear freaking sage, king, magician, you're gonna be like, what the hell are you talking about? But I think we all have our own unique words we say to ourselves that maybe it won't make sense to anyone else, but we know what it means to us when we say, hey, be more tough right now, or channel your Mamba mentality, channel your black Mamba right now, be Kobe, or channel your freaking, whatever it may be. Like, we all have people we look up to, or like channel that person in a way that is your own unique archetypes, if that makes sense.
Yep. I've heard also that it can be extremely valuable in a performance sense. So, for example, if you watch Michael Jackson in an interview, he's like, hey guys, and that's how he talks. But you see him on stage, he's a different animal.
Grabs his nuts and
everything. And people have say,
shut mouth. The lover.
And people have say it's a completely different personality when you go on. And that's why Beyonce has Sasha Fierce, right? Like a completely different dynamic that they actually step into in order, so they almost create like an alter ego to step into. Like you say, Black Mamba. That's what's his name?
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant's one is
Black Mamba.
Black Mamba.
The way you said a Black Mamba. Black
Mamba. There's another guy who does it as well, but there's a few people who step into a different. Like Eminem's got Slim Shady. They've got different archetypes,
Kendrick
but people.
Has, K-Dot or Kung Fu Kenny.
Yeah.
They'll channel his different things, yeah.
So there's a performance coach that talks about the topic of being able to create an alter ego.
Yeah.
And if you, in UPW, the Tony Robbins seminar, he does the same thing. He gets you to kind of name your alter ego.
Yeah. It makes sense to you.
Yeah.
You know what it means. You know the characteristics and traits it has.
Yes.
That when you say go into that mode,
Yeah.
you channel that. You channel that version of yourself.
And that's effective. It is.
You guys said something, and I might be going too far right now. If you want to stay on like this particular part of archetypes, that's fine. But when you said that the king is like all of them, something like triggered in me just then.
That is true, by the way. And yeah.
Like, what is it about? And no, like I'm excited about this. If this is the case, what is it about the king that is actually like the completed version of all of these things?
I would say he's no longer disowning. But anyway, I'll let Poya.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Think about like when you think about a king, like each archetype and each label you give it is because when you think about that particular archetype, certain things usually come to your mind. There's a certain stereotype attached to that archetype. The fact that the king gets given the power of having all of them consolidated. When I think about a king, I don't automatically think about all of those things, but I kind of get why you would say a king's like that.
Why?
Like, there's been multiple types of kings throughout history, but also I think when you see kings, and I can definitely be wrong and just speak out of my ass on this one, but I feel like when you see kings, you do see them in every type of way. You've seen kings who are like conquerors, like Alexander the Great. You've seen kings who are like poets and like they're more romantic and they seem to just be sleeping with 1,000 concubines. You know who I'm talking about. You've seen kings who are super wise and they're able to do all they're artists or they're engineers. Like, you've seen kings in all types of settings. So that's why I get why the king was given that version. But is there something I'm missing?
Bro, this just popped in my. Who is the greatest king of all?
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ did all of those.
Yeah.
He was a warrior. You remember the temple?
Yep.
Gets those whips out.
Yep.
Lover, held space for people, was compassionate, empathetic, listened.
Like you said, the Lambert lion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the magician. He was wise. He had insight.
Yes.
And he was the king.
He was a lover. He was compassionate.
I already said that.
Yeah.
Already said that.
Yeah.
Here's why that idea gets me going, right? The idea of the king being like the ultimate one is because if you're telling yourself, oh, I got to channel my sage, I got to channel my magician, I got to channel my teacher, I got to channel my warrior.
So practical.
I think if you understand what it means to you, then it can be practical, but I get what you mean. But if you say, hey, channel your king, something about it just feels like it just feels firm. It just feels like complete. It just feels like the highest version of you. Like when you hear like online, like people calling themselves kings, like, oh, I'm a king, or what's up, king? How you doing, king? Like there's a certain empowerment about it, but it's like the greatest of the great, you know what I mean? Like it rules the land kind of thing. I don't know. I'm going.
No, you're cooking, bro. You're cooking.
No, I got nothing else to say about like when you said king is like the ultimate one. Like I just got like G'd up about that. It's crazy.
It's. I guess it's a form of mastery over self. Which look to be clear, as Christians, we'll never achieve that because we all struggle with sin. But the Holy Spirit helps us do that. But it's something to aspire to be king over our emotions. You remember we're talking about emotions are a good servant, not a good master. Let's be the master of our emotions. To really know your archetype, I feel like, is to be the master of your emotions, in a sense. Because you're fully present. And when you're fully present, I think, in a sense, we kind of probably know what to do a lot of the time. Not all the time, maybe. Or at least, yeah. I feel like I'm close to it, but I don't feel like what I'm saying is actually it.
I hear what you're saying, though. I do find a lot of comfort and encouragement in knowing that you can kind of lean into one direction and still find success. Like, I'm going to speak in like NBA terms right now because that's like the world that I come from. But like, you have so many different types of like superstars. Like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant weren't the same as like a Stephen Curry, who weren't the same as like a LeBron James. You hear about who wasn't the same as the Tim Duncan.
King James, yep.
King James. Tim Duncan is a five-time NBA champion, and he's known as like one of the most quiet superstars to the point people would say like, oh, he's boring kind of thing. But he has 5 championships, more than all these other dudes who can be like the most cocky, like arrogant, you know, kind of bigging themselves up, but they have nowhere near his level of success. And I find comfort in knowing that no matter what archetypes you may be, you can actually find ultra success in that lane as well. You know?
Absolutely. Because it's like you watch. Do you know who the guy who discovered David Goggins is?
No.
So they both like. This guy discovered David Goggins because he saw him running like a triathlon that they always do, and they're like, look at this guy. We've got like a full camp because this guy's a billionaire. He's got like a full camp, people bringing in food trucks and all this guy. And this guy just brings crackers and like a big water bottle. That's it. And this guy's like, who is this guy? So he wanted to discover who this guy was. After the race, he pulled him in and he actually stayed with him for 3 weeks because he wanted to get to know who this guy is. That's how the world got introduced to David Goggins. Now, David Goggins is very warrior archetype, aggressive. You know, I'm out to get something, almost like a chip on my shoulder. But him, who also completes insane marathons, is like this happy-go-lucky guy. So you're absolutely right. Like, I've always found that people can accomplish 2 goals with completely 2 different archetypes. Look at Vegeta and Goku. Like, you know, you watch Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. It's like Vegeta always does something with like a warrior archetype.
Yeah.
And Goku is the classic king archetype.
Kind of a clown as well.
Because he's integrated all of them. Yeah, a little bit more of the jester, I'd say.
But you're right. He's integrated all of them. Like there's moments where like I always hear the comments saying like when Goku stops smiling, like you know Ish is getting real.
Yeah.
You know, like. But he's also the dude who's just like his wife will like knock him upside the head. He just takes it, doesn't even like fight back, doesn't like raise his voice.
Yeah.
He has integrated a lot of parts of himself very well.
Yeah. My coach once shared this with me. He goes, one of the big differences between the king energy and the warrior energy is intention. So warrior energy could be coming from selfishness. I hurt you, so I'll like you hurt me, I'll hurt you. Whereas the king energy is always from a selfless place. It's always from I'm doing this for the greater good. I'm contributing. I'm serving the people around me, and this person needs my help, and I'm here to help. It's always coming from love. And if you want to perfectly map on the king archetype to the self in IFS, then in the IFS world, to be able to tap into self, you need to tap into curiosity and compassion. And as soon as you tap into those, you automatically tap into calmness, compassion, curiosity, playfulness, and there's a few other, clarity as well, groundedness. There's a few other traits that come with it.
Yeah, I get you. So there's a story I want to share with you guys. This is going to lead into our next topic.
Okay.
So I'm on a YouTube binge, you know, just going down the wormhole, and I come upon a podcast, and this is a person who we all kind of grew up on. Maybe we all did. I don't know for sure. But this person has a podcast now, and I'm like, if this person has a podcast, everyone's got a podcast.
Who's the person?
Paris Hilton has a podcast.
Oh, of course she does too.
Has like
hot.
1 million subscribers,
Yeah.
and she's interviewing like real serious people. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is this the Simple Life person?
Wait, who's she interviewing?
Well, the episode I stumbled upon, she was interviewing Alex Cooper, the girl from Call Her Daddy.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
She's
They're
interviewing,
socialites.
like, look, if I bring it up right now, she's interviewing like legit, like serious, you know, people. Like, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, everyone's got a podcast. And I know it sounds terrible to say because like we have a podcast. It's like we're just more noise in the endless ocean of people sharing their hot takes.
Yeah.
But it's just like, this world is so fun. I feel like in the next 20 years, like if you don't have a podcast, it's gonna be like not having social media. Like, where's your podcast? If you don't have one, I'm gonna be like, there's something wrong with you. You need a podcast now.
Yeah, and there's kind
Get
of
a podcast. If you don't have a podcast, get a podcast right now.
No, don't.
Otherwise, something's wrong.
Don't get a podcast, but subscribe to our Patreon and give us money. We don't have Patreon yet. No, it's interesting because I feel like girls can be like, I don't know if you hear this from some women, but they're like, oh, guys and their podcast.
Because they're lit. Podcasts are amazing.
Yeah, but it's kind of like this thing of like, it's almost a joke that every dude has a podcast and they're like,
We love discussing ideas.
yeah, and it's just kind of, but it's seen as cringe, but it's like,
I will say, you know, when you look at male podcasts versus a lot of female podcasts, there's usually certain themes that you'll tend to see pop up. But check this out for Paris Hilton, right? So she's in her latest clip, she's interviewing Jason Derulo.
okay, makes sense.
Before that, she's got Megan Trainor on. I don't even know.
Oh yeah,
Know
oh
who
that is. Yeah.
Is that a singer? Okay, and then before that, who else has she gone in? She had Alex Cooper before that.
Yep.
And just, I guess it's a bunch of celebrities, which makes sense. It's probably within a lane.
That does, yeah. I thought you meant someone like, I don't know.
Like Alex Huberman, Andrew Huberman.
Andrew Huberman, the person who created Thank You Water, the guy started International Justice Mission.
Maybe they're on there. You never know.
You
like
know.
people who...
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates. Elon Musk pops up. It's just like...
Elon Musk, I could see. He'll just go anywhere.
Yeah, true.
I mean, he made a song about Harambe.
He made a song about the gorilla?
Wait, you don't know the Harambe song?
No.
Can we play that? Can we plug this in? Like,
we don't have the...
bro.
I should have brought it. I didn't know we would need it. We'll make sure that going
I can
forward
play it
next
into
week,
the mic.
Going forward next week, hopefully we'll have someone to do visuals and we'll have...
Yeah. Do you want to play into the mic though? I don't think it's copyrighted.
Yeah, that should work.
But keep like this is insane. Elon Musk actually made this song.
Is he the one singing it as well?
He's singing it. He's singing it. It's crazy.
Elon must be so bored. The amount of side quests he's doing. Like
Side quests is the accurate
He
term.
wants to finish the game 100%. You know, you get like the percentage of how much. Like he wants it 100 at the end of it.
You guys hear it?
I think I've heard this.
Let's play a few seconds.
I would have thought it was like Kanye.
What?
I would have thought it was like Kanye or like Travis Scott or something.
It's lit.
Straight up. That is not Elon Musk.
That's Elon Musk. That's Elon Musk.
That can't be Elon
That's Elon
Musk.
Musk.
That's impossible.
That's Elon Musk.
I've heard another song he's made. So
Yeah, he did another one.
I know that he does make songs.
Is he about to drop an album? He's about to drop an EP. What other song does he have? Does he sound like that?
Nah, it's something it's similar. Yeah.
Bro, what? This is just crazy. But that's Elon for you, bro.
That's
Just
Elon for you.
Enjoying life.
We should get him on.
But who's like what's the weirdest podcast you've come across where you're like, they have a podcast? Like, what the hell's going on there? I don't mean it in a bad way. Like, everyone has a right to talk, okay? But just you're surprised.
Okay. Let me ask the elephant in the question. Should some people not be doing a podcast?
Yes.
Okay, then who? Then who and why?
No, I think the real question we ask is, are those people us?
No. I think
we're good.
Look, even though I'm sure some people listen to us and they're like, shut up. But I do think that what we're saying, we're trying to say something that has substance to it.
Yeah, of course.
I think it just comes down to intention. It's like, is it clout chasing, or is it some people with an authentic intention that really love talking because they really love to talk? I mean, from my understanding, it was us three having really wild conversations and just going, why wouldn't we just have this on air?
But you know
and
what?
Do something
I've
with it.
had I've had wild conversations with all of my friends, and at some point they turn to me or I turn to them and we go, "Bruh, this should be on a podcast."
Yes.
And then my mind goes, "No, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be on a to do a podcast week by week, and you realize like, first off, you can get bored of it very quick. You may get tired of the novelty of coming on camera. You're on camera now. People can throw stones at you because you're exposing yourself to the world.
Yep.
Unless you truly have something to say that's like of worth.
Yep.
Like why?
Yep.
So we can hear about like the weekend at freaking Byron Bay. Like,
Yeah.
Hey girls, just went to Byron Bay on the weekend. It was so good. Just went for the surf. Oh my gosh, how bad are like straight white men and they're like so problematic?
yeah, well, we can come and trash white people like you guys love to do now.
I don't love to trash white. I love white people.
I'm gonna get a counter for how many times
I'm gonna get cancelled. I'm the one who's gonna get canceled.
No, but look, I don't. At the top of my head, there are some podcasts I think aren't really necessary. I probably wouldn't say what those podcasts are because in the end, they're like multi-millionaires, and you know they can easily trash me. Like I'm not anywhere near their level as far as popularity, but as far as like what their content is, I'm like, nah, you shouldn't be talking. Like I don't think it's something that's actually good for the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of like, this is interesting. There's certain podcasts I've listened to just for fun where they just kind of like bully celebrities.
What podcast is this? Say it out loud.
It's like, I don't want to say its name, but it's like,
Just say its name, bro.
because they scare me.
Nah, it might be the.
They talk. It's kind of like a podcast where they talk about how problematic certain celebrities are, and they just kind of like it's almost
Alex
bullying.
Jones?
Sorry,
Alex Jones?
no, it's an Aussie one. It's like from one of those like media outlets, like kind of BuzzFeed vibe, but not BuzzFeed. And it's just like these like two Aussie women who are just trashing every celebrity, and it's just like it's a guilty pleasure. I listen to it occasionally, but it is kind of like verges on bullying, I feel.
So do they have celebrities come on and
No,
then they bully them, or they just
they kind of go through a celebrity's history and talk about why should they be cancelled or not.
Wow.
And it's just kind of weird. It's kind of like funny,
It's crazy that people make their career out of just
but it's
bullying
like
people.
But it's meant to be funny. It's meant to be comedy, but then some of it's a bit like too far. It's like you're making fun of someone for having mental health issues or like, and then they're like, it's just weird. I haven't listened to it in a while, but it just made me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it's very much like they did an episode on Olivia Wilde. And they kind of were like pretty much praising her for cheating on her partner with Harry Styles. Like, you go, girl. And I'm like, what? Like, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah, there's a lot of foolery out in the world.
Yeah.
But that's like Kev, like you brought up, that is a lane. Like trashing a celebrity, trashing someone's career is a lane that will get you a lot of clicks.
Yep.
And
Yep.
like
That's sad.
It is like, look, I don't even know how you feel. Like I'll see a lot of even like Christian YouTubers who like their lane is just trashing mega pastors.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And I'm like,
Interesting.
Me and Poya.
I know. I'll leave Cook.
Poya's-
when that's
Poya
when your
subscribes to
lane
all of them.
is he's like on their Patreon, like throwing money at them, like say it. No, like I don't think. Look, I think the idea of challenging anyone is fair, and to keep people accountable, that's all fair. But like when you cross the line and start saying, "Oh, they're a false prophet," like, bro, shut up, bro. Like, if you look at anyone's life, you're not going to find perfection. If you look at anyone's theology, you're not going to find perfection. So the moment you hear someone say something you disagree with, I don't think it's fair to just say they're a false prophet. There definitely are false prophets out in the world.
Yeah.
But like, sometimes you see those people who like, they're so quick to just call someone a false prophet.
Sure, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like
tell me.
because I feel like what if they present a very solid argument for why they're a false prophet?
Okay,
I will
but
name names.
If you present a proper argument for why they're a false prophet, that's fair enough. But the ones I've watched some of these videos, and it'll be like, look what this pastor said at this moment here, and it's like if you heard it in context, you'll definitely know he's not trying to say disregard like the godlyhood of like Christ, or to say like he's on the same level as like. People will say stuff at times where it's off the top. They're freestyling at times,
So out of
and they may
context.
just have a misstep.
But Josh, you know what freaks me out, bro? You see these videos on Insta, and you go to the Instagram comments thinking, okay, but everyone's going to understand this is out of context. No. Everyone is like, I can't believe he said that. I was like, whoa, bro, are you serious?
Well, that's
the amount of times that, I know he's going to get triggered when I mention this name, but the amount of time that Stephen Furtick's been completely taken out of context is insane. And I'm not saying he could probably preach the gospel more. I don't know, probably, whatever. But I've seen a lot of stuff by him and so many other people that is just taken completely out of context. But I think what you're saying, Josh, is the whole idea of regardless whether what they're saying is like plausible or not, it's like the fact that people make an entire living out of this.
The fact that they can make an entire living out of this, or I don't know how much money there is in like having like a false prophet exposure.
Well, at the end of the day, it's just getting more attention. It's attention.
Well,
That's
imagine a Patreon.
Oh,
you get
get
2 extra episodes of me calling out mega pastors. Like, I think to me the idea of labeling someone a false prophet, that is a big accusation. That's a strong thing to. It's one thing to say, hey, what that person said is inaccurate. What that person said is wrong. Like, go for it. To now throw a label, and you're basically labeling that person's identity. You're passing judgment of what that person's identity is. That's a very strong, big thing to be saying. You know.
I agree. If there's no evidence for it. For me, if there's evidence, then I have no issue because I want them called out. But again, if the evidence is you take a clip out of context, I saw someone, Steve Furtick actually, I don't really know much about him, so I don't have an opinion. A lot of people I know who are solid seem to like him, and a lot of people I know who don't like him haven't really listened to his sermons, so there you go. But I saw someone, like, there's this one pastor, I won't name him, I'm not really a fan. I don't even want to get into it, but a lot of Reformed Christians like him, like very conservative. He was talking about how he was, someone asked him about Steve Furtick, what's your thoughts? And he's like, unqualified. And then there's a next clip of Steve Furtick with like a water gun at his service, like shooting people out of context. Sure, looks bad. You have no idea what the context is. Yeah. My pastor does like little, like he'll sometimes sing in the middle of sermons to illustrate, like it's kind of illustrating a point and it makes sense when you hear it.
Yeah.
You take that out of context, like what's this guy doing?
Yeah. Can you, who said that, bro?
You know what? John MacArthur. I'll name him. John MacArthur. I'm not a fan. But you know what? I've just seen him out of context. But
because
you know what?
Furtick referenced him at one of the Hillsong conferences, and I didn't know who he was talking about.
Yeah, John MacArthur's an interesting guy.
I thought maybe he was gonna like say Benny Hinn said that because like Benny Hinn sounds like the kind of.
I don't like Benny Hinn. I feel like he's probably
a lot of people also find it very controversial, but like seeing some of his past stuff, he's been the kind of person to just like call out people. So I thought maybe it was him, but
Benny Hinn calls out people.
Sometimes if you go to his stuff, like he'll
see. I've heard he's pretty but again, I haven't seen anything, so I'm not gonna make I'm at a point in my walk now where unless I have evidence, I'm not gonna like be firm on their bad.
I think on the other side, we'll know the truth. You know, like there'll come a point in time we all die, we all go to the other side.
Be like, where's Benny Hinn?
And you'll see, like the works will show. Was it built on sand or was it built on rock?
Yeah.
And if it was built on rock, anyone who, was doing the right thing, like you'll be vindicated. And if it weren't, you'll be exposed and that's it. And you just want to hope that you build on the right foundation. It is a scary thing to think about, bro.
Pastors will be judged more harshly. We only got 2 minutes, but I have this one hot take I really want to drop, but I'm like, it could open up a whole other conversation.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Could we do it? We could do it for maybe next week, but I genuinely think... Okay, do you guys know what cessationist theology is versus continuist?
No.
Cessationist is the spiritual gifts no longer are a thing, like Hulk speaking in tongues. It's like for the apostolic age. I think it's one of the stupidest theological beliefs I've ever heard. I've never seen a biblical basis for it, and I generally what triggers me most is that it's a lot of the Reformed Christians like, we know the Bible, we teach the Bible correctly. I'm like, bruz, show me in the Bible where it says apostolic age. Oh, what? You can't...
Okay, so you may agree with people who feel that way, and that's fair enough. Like I do believe in like the spiritual gifts.
No, I believe I'm on your side. I'm saying I believe that they continue.
He's on your side. He's saying
I'm saying they continue.
No,
I'm saying I'm frustrated when people say they don't.
I know you're on my side.
Oh, right.
I'm trying to say would you now go and call people who don't believe in it false prophets?
That's a really interesting question because we have to define what a false prophet is. I'm very hesitant. For me, it's like, do you deny?
Sometimes you disagree.
Yeah.
Does that mean the person's a false prophet?
There's salvation issues. There's non-salvation issues. So if you're saying like, oh, hey,
Christ isn't Lord.
yeah, then that's like, you're
Yeah,
a bloody
okay.
wolf, mate.
Yeah,
Or
run. Yeah, run.
then it gets tricky though, because it's like, yeah, there's a lot of things. So you have things like that are non-salvation issues and then things that are salvation issues. And that's where it gets very murky.
How would you define false prophet? I know we're probably going overtime right now, but I gotta
Yeah.
hear
All right. I would
hear
define a
this.
false prophet as anyone who teaches something that if someone was to believe it, they wouldn't know Jesus and they go to hell.
I don't hate that definition. I
Yeah.
don't hate that because that's also very strong. That's a very messed up thing that they're doing. Right?
Yeah,
they're
that's-
costing salvation.
And that's why I'm skeptical about any mega church pastor's got lots of money. Like I'm very on edge. And
But then okay, think about mega church. But which pastor that's a mega church pastor has said something that will actually take people away from salvation?
well, I think maybe that's something we can explore next week because I want to do my research, but I'm pretty sure they exist and I don't want to name names
they
without
must
having.
exist.
I have ideas. I have a list of names, but I don't want to name them until
But
I
I feel
actually
like a lot
know.
of the mainstream ones,
But
nah.
I'll tell you what, it may not even be the pastor that let them away. It'll be your family member. That's who's going to make them stop believing in God and stop believing in Christ. Many times it's the person right next to you who you thought was a Christian, and then they started acting up and acting in a way that wasn't as godly, that made you feel like, church is a farce. It's not always the pastor that's doing it.
Oh, no,
Sometimes
but
it's the person right next to you
it could
that
be-
makes you stop believing.
It could be anyone, but as the pastor, you are the representative, and you are actually leading the people spiritually. You're in charge of everyone's spiritual well-being. So,
It's like your sexual purity has to be perfect, and you can't get back up and preach if it's been tainted.
we're doing this.
I'm joking.
I don't think we have enough time to go into it right now.
Yeah.
Let's close up. Let's wrap
Let's
up.
close up. We can talk. I reckon let's do this for next week.
Yep, cool.
Why not? Let's do false prophets, and then we can go into that. So, who would like to sign off?
All right, I'll sign off. Thank you for listening to the BOB podcast. You listen to Joshua, Coach Baru, Poya, Heidari, Shahi, and Kevin Paulraj. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. Shout out to Bella Vista Hotel as well.
The best place to be.
Best place to be.